Okay, are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting. Thank you for being here. Yes. Start first with our roll call. Vice Chair Curtis is not here yet. Council Member Pavlinek.
Here.
Council Member Zhang. Council Member Sapir.
Here.
Council Member Ramirez. Here. Council Member DeWitt.
Here.
Thank you. And here comes Vice Chair Curtis. Here. Okay. All right, we'll go into our treasurer's report.
Still sitting at $1,183, pending a few remaining payouts for the 2024 minutes. We should have everything updated for tomorrow's tomorrow. My brain is already in April. Next month's meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie. All right. Next is
Hi, Ronnie.
That's Wei.
Hi, Jin Wei. Thank you for joining. So,
Good. Sorry, still driving. Try to get home. Yeah.
okay. So everyone is in attendance.
Yeah, I'm on the channel, but I will be there in 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next item is the approval of the minutes. Are there any comments or questions or anything about the minute?
I think we should add that the committee was review ordinance. And the three people, myself, Victoria, and you, right? Three of us, so it's in the record that there's an official committee, subcommittee on review ordinance. We just have that.
All right, Ronnie, you got that?
I'm not. So you said there's a subcommittee that's been created, or?
At the last meeting,
Last meeting.
Supervisor Victoria asked for people.
I'll have to double back. I don't know of subcommittee.
Oh, maybe it's advisory or something.
Working group.
Okay, so working group, but maybe we should have a,
Working group.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to approve with addition.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. So we will start first with our presentation from Supervisor Joya's office. Ronnie.
All right. Good after, well, no, I'm still in the afternoon. Brain is applesauce, the Celsius hasn't kicked in yet. So a pretty brief update, starting with the El Sobrante Mac. Wow. So I'm sorry, you guys. My brain is all over the place. East Richmond Mac. That's what happens when you're on a third cup of coffee and Celsius. All right, here we go. So in an effort to better understand hyper-local issues within the residents here in East Richmond Heights, Supervisor Joya is recommending that regarding the fire subcommittee that the MAC form an ad hoc working group focused on fire safety for a limited period of time. And this working group will meet to discuss concerns, identifying key issues, and develop a plan of action. So participation in this group will be limited to no more than 2 MAC members. I think that's what was discussed last month as well. And also, I'll be turning.
No, keep going. You're doing fine. I just can't read the names on there.
Okay. Regarding the traffic safety subcommittee, so that would be in the same vein. Last month, we did a site visit in El Sobrante, and for a few of the more troubling spots in that area. So we're thinking the same thing would be beneficial for East Richmond Heights. And so we're reaching out to you, Royer, and also bringing in Monish, who's the traffic engineer, to help out with that as well. And so we'll be working with the MAC and also a few of the community members to get a date and time on the schedule for us to go out and hit the pavement. All right. Next would be our 2025 East Richmond Heights fiberized slurry seal. As a part of our ongoing efforts to maintain and improve local roadways, Public Works will be conducting a road surfacing work here in East Richmond Heights. So this project will include application of a type 2 fiberized slurry seal on various roads to extend pavement life and enhance roadway safety. Additionally, crews will survey monuments and apply new thermoplastic stripping and pavement markings once the resurfacing is complete. So the estimated date for these improvements is set for summer 2025. And all this information in regards to the roadways that are going to be affected is going to be on the Public Works site, or you can reach out to me directly if you'd like more information in that regard. And finally, commissions, councils, and boards, public advisory boards and commissions and councils serve as excellent opportunities for people wanting to serve their communities. And so current vacancies include the Measure X Community Advisory Board, the Behavioral Health Board, and Assessment Appeals Board. And so if you'd like more information and a more extensive list, we send them out periodically via Supervisor Joya's main newsletter, but you can reach out to me directly if you'd like a more extensive list in that regard as well.
Okay.
Yeah, on your first item was about the fire safety as far as the I believe something that was gonna be brought up at this meeting about the fire, emergency backup generator and sort of thing. Is that a subcommittee? I would volunteer to be on that if that was a such.
Yeah, that would be an item that would be that you can raise within the working group. So that would be in that hearing.
I can get your name and number afterwards, and attach it to the list.
all right.
We have about 25 people interested already.
Oh, all right.
Well, a lot of interest in the fire safety.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
More
got
the
some
merrier.
expertise on it.
Yeah.
Okay, yes,
So
ma'am.
I thought you said the fire safety working group was only 2 people.
So it's can only be a maximum of 2 MAC members, but we can have members of the community to join that as well.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Okay, and one other thing is, PG&E is gonna redo all the gas mains in East Richmond Heights, at least on Del Monte and Scenic, and so they're gonna be cutting up the street again. Between the end of March and 2026.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that affects the slurry seal, but
I don't think that it will. I know it's a different agency, but Public Works, they work well with the different agencies, EBMA, PG&E, so they'll definitely be in communication to make sure that everybody is working well together.
yeah, it'd be
And that's
nice to
the
do it
advice.
after.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ronnie, was there a date on the slurry seal?
Not a specific date, an estimated date is for summer 2025.
Okay,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if they do all the pipes first.
Yeah, and if we're gonna do it up through 2026.
Yeah, Joanne.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there's no interference with our music and arts sphere when the slurry stuff is going on, if there's any way we could crossroads and let them know those dates.
Yeah, I can follow back up with
August
the,
2nd.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, I'll put that on my notes to follow up.
And I'd like to mention back up a little bit about your traffic safety, and I know that this began with, we have issues on Arlington with the racing cars, but also Hasford Heights up at the top of North Arlington, which we have Contra Costa County that crosses into also the city of Richmond and those issues. I wanted to mention this because I saw since our last meeting, the County Public Works has got a plan to change the traffic on Arlington up here by the Arlington Christian School. And that's where Cypress, I think it's Cypress, or is it Elm? I'm sorry. It's where the crossing is for the children at the Arlington Christian School. And I saw the plan, and I believe the man in Public Works whose name is on the plan is Lynn, L-I-N is the last name.
Okay.
And they are looking at moving that traffic crossing up Because right now, as cars race down, all of a sudden, there's this traffic or the crossing. And it looks like they've already got in-house plans to move that. And they're looking at other safety things on Arlington Boulevard right now. That was dated November, but it hasn't come to us yet.
Okay.
So I'm very encouraged to see that we will get, maybe some help with the traffic problems in Arlington.
Yeah.
I thought I'd put that out there because I saw it. It does exist.
Yeah, I think getting Monish out here to also see what the community is saying specifically is definitely gonna help. So, we're excited to get some feel.
All right. Any questions from anyone, either on Zoom or here? Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. So the first one was the public works inspection for traffic safety. There's a couple of intersections we talked about. Will that happen then before the road resurfacing so that if it is decided that certain crosswalks need to be added or whatever markings need to be added, that can happen during the resurfacing work? Is that gonna be coordinated in any way or is it not?
Well, we're planning on trying to get out with this traffic engineer before the summer, so it'll definitely be within the next few months for sure. Yeah.
Okay, and that would be Monish?
Yes.
Okay.
And my second question, and this is maybe for the fire safety or for the fire chief or fire department presentation later, but a new regulation a new recommendation was just put out by CAL FIRE about where high fire zones are. The high fire zone has now been extended to include several streets in East Richmond Heights. And so I'm wondering what that means for, people, those of us affected, what it means for vegetation, like what are gonna be the new rules? How is the enforcement of these new rules going to work? Just a lot of questions on that.
I'm gonna be heading the fire safety, and some of the things we're looking for is establishing a firewise, committee. So that we can, for instance, putting 5 feet around your house and brush away from the home and, no fuel near the house, things like that. But also, there's some new maps that we need to get. And also I've been identifying where the fire hydrants are, so, things like that. So we'll get the committee grant rolling, but we need help from the county.
Part of the new committee, okay.
But we need help from the county to kind of guide us.
Yeah, got it. So as homeowners for now, it's kind of tight, are we expected to start working on the remediate, like what did you call it?
Yeah, the firewise program.
I think we'll get into that in the fire,
Okay.
which is coming up right next. So, okay. You might want to get Victoria your email so we can.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Can I
you.
speak for
Right,
a moment
yes,
on the
please.
traffic? So yeah, I'm coordinating with Ronnie, and so I'm hoping to have someone from Hasford Heights to represent, and then I need someone from East Richmond Heights proper over here to help represent everything that we put on that document. So I don't know, one community member.
Oh, sure.
From over here. Okay, yeah.
Happy to be the community member. What's the commitment? Do you have to be there in person or?
I think in person during the site visit.
Okay,
So,
I will do the best. It's not a lot of work, but
okay,
yes, if I'm in town.
or if you know someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
can.
can just delegate somebody in my house.
Yeah, or just someone that lives in the area that knows.
Great.
So, or yeah,
Question on the camera. When is the fire committee meeting going to be?
It hasn't been determined.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been, we don't have a date and time just yet, we're still working on getting that locked in.
Okay, how will we be informed? If I've already, because we already had an agenda and we had a date set and then it just got mysteriously removed from the.
John Joya wanted to have the huge county meeting first with all the areas before we have our separate
Do
meeting.
you want to talk about when El Cerrito City Hall?
No, don't
Okay.
think we talked about too much fire stuff.
Okay. Joanna,
Respectfully, I asked Ronnie before the meeting, when is the countywide fire town hall gonna be? And Ronnie, you said that John wants to have it closer to fire season. But our friends in Altadena will tell you, that all year is fire season. I don't think we should wait for our neighborhood meeting until fire season, because as soon as the wind starts blowing, it's fire season. So I would urge us to plan a meeting here in East Richmond Heights and not wait.
I planned two and they were both canceled, so
Right.
I'm following John's lead, but I do wanna get our local meeting going.
I mean, when you have 25 people have expressed an interest, then it kind of peters out.
Right.
You keep putting things off. So I would like to see us have a meeting and not wait for
Me
the
too.
town hall.
Second.
Yeah, they're not, fourth, I mean, I think part of disaster planning is practicing. And that has to happen, you know, we should all go home today and look at all our stuff and practice and anyway.
I mean,
Okay.
until the town meeting's done, I recommend going on the internet site to the Firewise program, that's what I've been reviewing with my husband on things to do.
Okay,
Okay.
so Ronnie, I know will you please tell John that it's felt, there's a sense of urgency here.
Yeah, he definitely understands,
Both.
it's an urgent thing, and he's also the chair of the East Bay Firewise Board of Coalition, so working with Alameda County as well, so it's
Okay.
definitely high priority, but we're just trying to, get all the
Well,
details.
please convey to him what you were hearing here tonight.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And
Yes, ma'am.
in that big, it sounds like there's gonna be all the agencies getting together for a big meeting, is one of them East Bay Regional Parks?
Yeah, regional parks, Heavy Mud, PG&E, so,
Cause
yeah.
I think we'd be happily paying our property taxes to East Bay Regional Parks in perpetuity, and they haven't thinned any brush. And I live right next to Wildcat Canyon Park, and I'm terrified about all that fuel. I think somebody should say that they should implement some kind of plan to just slowly, year by year, thin a little bit.
Yeah, so we were speaking though of Wildcat Canyon, because they are doing a huge job in the Berkeley and Oakland Hills.
Yeah, Berkeley, Oakland Hills, Kensington, but not
Right.
Richmond Heights.
So Wildcat
I
Canyon,
mean, we're like the poor little orphan,
okay,
feels like.
all right. Any other questions or comments? on This topic?
I have
Okay.
a question, another question. You guys kind of mentioned it. Maybe I couldn't hear correctly, but there was some urgency also around the view ordinance and reviewing that. Like John Joya was like, we have to do this quickly. Has that happened?
It has not happened. I don't know, you were gonna, I understood you would set up a meeting with the working group, but it's not quite happened yet.
Yes, we're still working on a date to get everybody's schedules together, so once that's settled, then we'll definitely be sending that out to everyone.
I think we're gonna use the Kensington map as an example, because they worked on that for many, many years to have a view ordinance, so we're gonna piggyback off of what they've done.
Yeah, so like, should we expect that to happen between now and the next meeting, or like when you say you're working on it, like how long should that take? Cause he seemed to think that there was definitely a lot of urgency around it.
Yes, again, we're trying to work with everybody's schedule, so as soon as we lock in everybody's schedule on a confirmed date and time, we're gonna be sending that out to everyone via the newsletter.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other comments on this topic? Okay, we're going to move on. I'd like to introduce from the Fire Protection District Assistant Chief Dave Watson. Thank you for coming.
I haven't been here before, I probably came over here, so I'm gonna go over here. Figure that's where I should be.
Good idea.
I'm gonna take my lead from Ronnie. So my name is David Watson. This is my first time here. I generally represent the city of San Pablo. I'm the training chief for Contra Costa County Fire. My first station assignment was Station 70 in San Pablo when I moved up here. So this whole area, I have a lot of love for up here because this is where I first started working in the fire service up here. So thank you for having me tonight. Right, or you can go to the next slide. Right, so a little bit about Contra Costa County Fire. We are over 600 total employees of line personnel, about 405. We have 35 fire stations across the staff across the over 550 square miles that we currently covered. We have all sorts of, we're an all hazards risk organization, which means we do everything from fires, floods, hazmat, rescue, anything under the sun. When you don't know who else to call, you call us and we will show up. So that means we have to have a whole bunch of different kinds of apparatus. So you'll see different things driving around. You'll see the fire engines, which is the normal thing driving around. You'll see rescue, which is the rolling toolbox. You have a hazmat, which they're able to mitigate all sorts of environmental and hazardous materials incidents, including the lab that we found in San Pablo last year or the year before. So I spent 3 days working on that incident. We have boats. We have a seasonal helicopter that we've been working with PG&E to provide air assets in the area, and we continue to grow and add new things as we continue to grow as an organization. We're also about to consolidate and absorb a Rodeo Hercules fire in July, which would add 2 more stations to that. So you'd have 37 stations. You'd have 41 daily staffed companies across the area. We have an administration building in Concord. We have a 12-acre training facility in the city of Concord also. We also have a live fire training facility on the former Navy base in Concord. The fleet, and so we have our own fleet mechanics to take care of all of our apparatus. And they're at the training site also. And we're currently building a brand new state-of-the-art communication center. And we have wellness facilities for our personnel. The Prevention Bureau is based out of Pittsburgh. They handle all our investigations, the investigations is based out of Pittsburgh. Prevention is actually in Concord. Off Port Chicago, they do our plan review, public education, code enforcement. They're the ones that are also dealing a lot with the Firewise community and things like that, the Zone Zero and the absolute. In the Bay Area, our standard is at least 1 paramedic on every apparatus. So every fire engine you see driving around that is Contra Costa County fire engine, you'll have 1 paramedic, at least 1, if not 2 or 3. We also are the ambulance provider for the county. So the ambulances say COM Fire EMS on it. We have a subcontractor that staffs them, but they are our ambulances, and we're currently bidding for that contract. We have some specialized teams within the fire district. The first one is the Cal OES hazmat team. So Cal OES provided us with a hazmat apparatus, which is worth millions of dollars, and that apparatus can go anywhere across the state in order to respond to all sorts of different kinds of emergencies. The other one is the FEMA USAR team, Urban Search and Rescue. I am actually one of the task force leaders for that. So that is a specialized group of rescue personnel that can go anywhere in the United States. We generally take anywhere from, depending on the size of the incident, anywhere from 30 to 90 personnel. And we're the ones that go to the Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, and things like that. I recently got back from 14 days down to Palisades Fire, where our assignment was to check the thousands of homes that were destroyed, hoping to find somebody, and then also providing closure to all the families that may have lost people. So we're FEMA asset based out of Oakland. We have about 28, I think, members currently on the team from Contra Costa County Fire. It provides a higher level of training for our personnel and the ability to go out to some of these incidents that people don't want to be part of, but it allows us to bring back a lot of information to help our. And then I mentioned the Regional Fire and EMS Communication Center that they're building in Concord or Pleasant Hill. That is going to be a state-of-the-art facility. It'll be a joint communication center for us and the AMR ambulances that we dispatch. So that should be online sometime this summer or early fall.
Excuse me, just a second, Ronnie, I think we have people in the waiting room.
I don't see anyone here. There's just before that we had this.
Okay, I'll tell this neighbor to try again.
You've been busy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm here to make sure as many people hear this as possible, so. All right, we're good to go to the next slide. So in the last year, we're looking back at some of our accomplishments for 2024. We graduated Fire Academy 60. It was actually one of the first joint academies we've done in a long time with Moraga in the fire. We graduated 13 Contra Costa firefighters as well as 4 Moraga recruits. They actually completed their 10-month test today. So one of the last elements in their probationary year, and they've been doing a very good job. We brought online 2 new tiller ladder trucks, as well as 6 new fire engines. Those are gonna be the last new apparatus we have for a couple of years due to COVID. During COVID, the timelines for delivery of apparatus increased exponentially. So we do have, I think it's, I forgot what the numbers were, but we have 7 more fire engines on order, a number more of the grass type 3s, a couple more trucks, a heavy rescue. So we're continuing to build out and make sure our fleet is one of the top of the line fleets across the country. No, they're amazing apparatus. From where I came when we first started to where we are now is night and day. Yeah, they're like the Cadillac of vehicles. It's amazing what the tools we've been given to be able to serve the citizens of this community. It's awesome. It just makes our job way easier. We've opened the Byron Wildland Fire Center, so that was the former Byron Boys Ranch. It's now a full-time wildland fire center for us, so we staff a hand crew out of there. Our helicopter was flying out of there last year, we'll fly out of there again this year, if we can get the agreement with PG&E. And we'll hopefully staff a second crew based out of Martinez coming up sometime this summer. That offers us a lot of opportunities, including we're currently in the talks with CAL FIRE Santa Clara unit for them to staff a crew out of that same fire center because they need more resources in the area. So us owning that piece of property allows them to actually bring more resources into the county also, which is very beneficial. The seasonal aerial firefighting helicopter, again, it was a joint program with PG&E. It's been very beneficial. It operated on a number of incidents last year in the short 2 months it was here, and we're hoping to have it actually starting in June of this year.
Where do they keep that?
That's gonna be out of Byron. Flight time out here, after warm up is, I'm trying to remember what they said, it's somewhere about 12 to 14 minutes. It's the closest air asset to this area. You also, PG&E does it again, they sponsored a Blackhawk in Marin. So we will also have that asset that can come this way. And then CAL FIRE has their normal aircraft stationed across the state. So we actually are positioned in a nice area to actually get aircraft rather quickly from Marin and then also from the far end of our. We did organizational DEI training in the first quarter of 2024. We had an outside contractor and myself led all our personnel, including our suppression side as well as our admin side, through DEI training, defining terms and then talking about how as an organization we will adopt it and continue to adopt it. We started the process back in 1997 and we continue to carry it all the way through today and making sure that we're integrating it into everything we do across the board. We also launched the Peer Sport Canine program. You can see one of our canines in the picture. I believe that's Mara. We partnered with a nonprofit to provide 2 Peer Sport canines. They're amazing dogs. They can actually sniff out high cortisol levels. So they ride along with the firefighters every day. One of them, both of the dogs currently are right next to the communication center, which is a very high stress job. So they spend a lot of time wandering around and hanging out with the dispatchers, trying to help them soothe some of the stress that they feel when being on the other end of the phone line when you can't really help somebody. You know, we're going, but it's definitely a hard job for them to be able to handle.
They're not Dalmatian.
Not Dalmatians, no. Dalmatians are herding dogs. We use them for a specific thing.
Okay.
They kept the bad stuff away from the horses and the horses are running true. So we don't really need those right now.
Do you know what organization you work with?
I will find out when I can sit down and get on my phone, but yes, I will get that to you. The 2 dogs are doing great jobs. They'll come into training, they'll wander around and you can also find the person with the highest level of cortisol and all this kind of.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty impressive.
Can you bring them next time?
I will see one of the animals.
Not that we are.
They are amazing. when I mentioned I went to Palisades Fires the first time on a large scale incident like that, they actually had peer support canines wandering around base camp. And it was nice when you're sleeping in a 3x3 by 6.5 foot box for 14 days. But a little bit of canine love is needed, so.
Yeah.
All right, so looking ahead to 2025, we currently are in the process of having Fire Academy 61. They're finishing week 10 today, or Friday. We're looking forward to the Rodeo Hercules annexation I mentioned in July. And so that will bring together what we call Battalion 7. So Battalion 7 used to be the former city of Pinolles Fire Department, which is now part of us. El Sobrani, which is Engine 69, the city of San Pablo, as well as El Cerrito and Rodeo Hercules. So it will help with our ability to operate in that area and formalize a lot of the agreements that we already had in place, but make sure that the training is the same as what all our normal.
What are the numbers of the stations on Clinton and over on Bayview by the freeway? In the two Richmond ones? Are they still open?
They are, yes.
Yeah, you mean engine 64 or 66?
Is that the Clinton or the?
Station 6, Clint is on Clinton.
Okay. Station 6?
I think.
Okay. And then-
66.
And then there's one on Bayview near the the freeway.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
62.
Those would be the ones that would come up here.
Yes, well, they would come and assist, yes.
Okay.
You'd also get El Cerrito, you would get 70 and truck 70 out of San Pablo and 69. Depending on the size and scope and scale of the incident, they're gonna get resources from all across the county. We have automatic gate agreements with the city of Richmond and can dispatch their resources and dispatch ours. As well as mutual aid agreements with surrounding agencies, so we'll dumping as many resources as we possibly can for the type of incident that we have. Nurse navigation is a great program that we're trying to start. It's gonna be rolled out shortly. It's to try to help offset some of the lower acuity calls. So 911 has become the medical care for a lot of people in our country. And unfortunately, what that means sometimes is that the ambulances are tied up on people needing medication refills instead of going to people that have a broken arm. And so what we're trying to do is find a way through our dispatch. If you've ever called 911, the dispatchers ask a bunch of questions and they're going to try to take calls that are those, I need a refill of medication, and then put them off to a secondary system where with a nurse that can help them facilitate what they need instead of taking them to the ER. The communication center remodel, which I mentioned, we also have some new fire stations planned. The two that are currently being planned are Station 90 and 94 in the east part of the county. There is a rebuild of Station 9, which is by the airport in Pacheco. Marine program expansion, so we currently have a number of boats on order. As we continue to gain more and more waterway across the bay, and as the Coast Guard unfortunately has had to pull back and close some stations, we have to have more of a presence on the waterway as well as the sheriff's. So we've expanded our marine program. We've added some swift water assets, including one in Martinez. So we have a boat and trailer out of Martinez for flooding and swift water type incidents. And we continue to wait for some of the larger boats that we were going to place along the waterway also. The ambulance service RFP, so we were awarded that last contract go around. We're hoping to get it again. It allows us to offer ambulance services across the entire county. It also allows us to take the funds from those transports and reinvest them back in the community. So one of the projects that we used are auto education tools that we replace on an annual basis, including in that rescue. That's the toolbox in the back of that picture. We want them on a cycle because as cars get better, the tools that we have need to also meet that need. So the ambulance program funds help purchase new tools for those apparatus so that if something were to happen, we have the best tools on our apparatus. So it's a great symbiotic relationship that helps our citizens in multiple ways.
Quick question on
Yes,
the ambulance service, is it technically classified as out of network for people's insurance if it's a contract ambulance service, even though it might be your equipment?
Yeah, oh, that's a very deep question. I don't know everything about insurance. Our EMS agent or our EMS division could answer more of those questions. We have specific billing people who deal with it. Your in-network and out-of-network isn't necessarily defined by the contract we have, and it shouldn't affect that. It's based on your insurance and, so being a public provider, we're actually covered by almost every type of insurance as well as Medi-Cal, Medicare, and all the, public insurance programs so that, it's beneficial.
That was a good question, because I only had an ambulance use once, but it was like $2,500.
Yes, and the county EMS agency is the one that sets the rates for the ambulances. So the county EMS agency sets a rate for if a paramedic ambulance shows up or an EMT ambulance shows up, they set those rates on what should be billed. And so that is something they set up, and then we're just the provider that provides it and then bills and uses those funds. We've had, as we continue to grow, and continue to want to offer the paramedic service, we were seeing as an organization, our paramedics were promoting into higher ranks, and we were having trouble hiring high quality personnel that had paramedic licensure when they were coming into the fire service. It is a somewhat expensive program to go through, unless you go through a community college. The private schools are anywhere in the $10,000 range and above for the tuition for a paramedic program. So we've worked with Contra Costa College and developed a joint paramedic program, where we've been sending our paramedics locally that are already firefighters and taking them offline and sending them to paramedic school, because we already know they are good firefighters, and then we add that extra skill and have them. So there are a number of them graduating tomorrow from the program down at Contra Costa College. So that's a great, and we're looking to expand that program with Contra Costa College and continue that moving forward. With lots of help actually from John Joe. So the total call volume so far this year in this vicinity is about 57 calls. You can see that the majority of calls in East Richmond Heights, as well as anywhere else in our response area, is going to be EMS calls. Because we have a paramedic on every engine, there's more fire engines than ambulances. We're responding in that capacity until the ambulance can get there and take over.
So this is East Richmond Heights unincorporated up here, not into the city of Richmond?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, what number are people calling to get to?
911.
It's just when you call 911, they're issue.
Yeah, so 911, if you call 911, it goes to the primary PSAP, which is actually the police department, and then they figure out where you're at, and then they send you to whichever, if you say you need fire and ambulance, they send you to whichever fire agency is closest to your location. So the city of Richmond is both police and fire. If you call in one of our areas, you're gonna get the sheriff's dispatch first, and then they're gonna refer you to our dispatch center. If you're in San Ramon, you would go to the San Ramon PD. So it all depends on where you're situated.
So, and then, I'm sorry, but the, so it's East Richmond Heights, but that would also include when they send the engine from El Cerrito down here.
Yes,
In that total
this is just the call volume within East Richmond Heights.
area, okay, got it.
Yes, so most of those calls are gonna be responded to by Contra Costa County Fire Apparatus or our partner agencies. Most of them are gonna, 2 of them are auto aid calls, and so those would be calls that we actually sent aid. Actually, we received aid from Richmond on those, or El Cerrito. We had 4 external fires, so those are fires, anything outside the building, dumpster fire, trash can fire, things like that. Commercial alarms, which would be any kind of business and their alarm going off. Medical alarms. So
Why would they call you for that?
Because the alarm system generally goes to a dispatch center, then they don't know what's going on because it's generally outside of hours. So they contact the fire department to respond in case there is something going on. You had 6 medical alarms, so those would be pendant alarms, push buttons, things like that we responded on. 3 types of hazards, those were the calls I told you when you don't know what else to call, you call town fire.
That was probably the telephone line sparking on Kensington.
Yes.
During Kensington Avenue during that storm. It was lighting up really bad.
Yeah, and so we'll go and monitor the incident until PG&E can come and fully mitigate it. You had 2 traffic accidents in the area and 1 residential alarm also. So this was now getting into the part that a lot of you had started to ask about. There will be a slide here in a second that talks about CWS alerts. CWS, Community Warning System, is actually run by the Sheriff's Department. When you mentioned Altadena and man, my name, point. Palisades, thank you. I was there for 14 days. I can't remember the name. One of the things I kept hearing over and over again as we talked to some of the homeowners, they were like, hey, we saw the fire coming and we waited. If anybody saw Sunset Boulevard and all the cars there, so people could see the fire for a long period of time, and then they just decided that, oh, it's too far away, it's never gonna get here. And then things changed, and then everybody realized things had changed, and then everybody got into a traffic jam and had to run from their vehicles. So one of the best things to avoid that is to sign up for your CWS alerts and know your zone, and we'll talk about those things here in a second. The Sheriff's Department does an amazing job of notifying personnel, people in those areas based on what the incident commander has designated, and try and get people out ahead of time so that if an incident is moving, we don't get that same kind of issue you saw on Sunset Boulevard. The Know Your Zone concept is from Stonehaven, or Genesis now. It gives you a name and a 3-digit or an identifier so that if you hear it, you understand that that means you. But you can also sign up for alerts from them, and also you can look back at a map and see what's going on and see how they're impacted.
So our area has zones.
Yes,
Richmond Heights.
yes. The entire county has zones.
Okay.
And each one of those allows us to designate certain areas, and then the system will notify everybody in that area through a bunch of different means, so that they know where to go, how to get out, things like that. They'll find out if it's an evacuation warning or order. A warning means we're asking you to leave, an order means we're telling you you really need to go because something's coming through there. So when you have that, having a go bag, knowing what's essential to take with you, knowing you may not be able to come back for a period of time. So having that go bag with documentation, medications, things you're gonna need in a space that you know where it is super important.
Can you get us a list of what should go in the go bag?
Sure.
What does CWS mean?
Community warning system.
Okay.
Is that the
How
same
do
as
they find out about the zones?
One of the next slides will have some QR codes. And
Here's some flyers.
oh, there you go. And there's flyers in the community warning system. Which I gotta take notes. I've gotten to the point where just recently I can't read my cell phone as well, and I haven't been able to get to the eye doctor. That's why I'm not doing it. I'm writing it and putting it in my phone. I'm writing it down because then I can actually see it. Yeah. Defensible space. So that's there'll be links on our website that talks about it. That's one of the things that is hot topic in the state of California, and we saw overwhelmingly. I grew up in Southern California. I've been through a number of the fires in the Malibu area because I got to go to Pepperdine because my dad worked there. So I lived through the 94, 96 fires at Pepperdine. And then when I went to Alpha Palisades, our base camp was literally, I could see Pepperdine every day when I woke up. I've never seen devastation to that level in any of the fires down there. And a lot of it was you would find a home that was completely untouched, and then you'd find a neighborhood that was gone. And a lot of that was based on defensible space and the home hardening stuff that Cal Fire has been talking. Good, next slide, please. So here's the 2 QR codes. The first one is the CWS alert sign up. So you can scan that one. It will take you to a sign up page for the community warning system. I believe that same information is going to be in the pamphlet. The one on the right is find your evacuation zone. And Ronnie has his PowerPoint, so
It'll be in the newsletter, but that's enough.
Yeah. You can scan them that way, or there's, we'll talk about a website you can go to that'll have all this information. But the evacuation zones, you can plug in where it is, then you can learn your code and you can ask for notifications for that way too.
Can we also get a list of where all the fire hydrants are?
That is a good question.
I'm driving around my neighborhood, but we need to know all of East Richmond Heights.
Yeah, so the water agency would be the one that would have that list. They're actually the ones that maintain fire hydrants. And so that would probably be.
They mentioned it last week at the other meeting, but I was just wondering if you have one. Okay, so
You guys just look for the blue
We
thing.
look for the blue dot on the street. We actually have maps in our, so we have mobile data terminals in our fire engines and apparatus and trucks. They have markings for those, so there is a map, obviously, that has all those on it. I don't know the list. But yes, we look for the blue dot, and we also have the computers that tell us.
Yeah, you guys all know that that's the blue reflector out in the middle of the street. There's a fire hydrant right by there.
So if you're far away from the fire hydrant, you're. What?
Your fire hydrant.
Where's your closest fire hydrant?
At the intersection of Del Monte and Scenic.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so every so the normal fire engines you see carry 500 gallons of water. So on a norm, like if you really have a house fire, on what we don't, but if you have a house fire, you're gonna get at least 5 fire engines, so you're gonna have 2,500 gallons of water. All those apparatus carry hose, and the first one's gonna come up to your house. Possibly the second one, they'll start laying hose in, so they have water there, and then they'll bring water to that, so. Even if it's far away, we'll do. That's a good
I have a question, what does the evacuation zone tell you?
The point of evacuation zones, one is so that the news will actually use it, they'll talk about it. But when you use your evacuation zone, it's also a backup to the community, the CWS alert system, so there's 2 different systems. And they're working in tandem. So one allows you to, when you have the evacuation zone, you can also look at their map during an incident, and it'll give you all sorts of information, like if you're in an evacuation warning or order, it'll show by color if you can repopulate and come back. And so there is a lot of benefits to the evacuation zone, because if you hear it announced, even if you didn't get any of the other things, you know to get out of there.
And then regarding the alert, so I just like looked it up, I've already signed up for it, I think I've been signed up for it for like a year, I've never received an alert yet, as far as I know, that's like.
That's a good thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to live in Alameda, now we get alerts from them like every couple of months, something's paid, I just
Yeah.
haven't received anything. I'm just wondering if it's working, I guess.
It is working.
Okay.
We actually have a meeting, all our senior fire chiefs from our organization are going to the community warning system center, where they have that at the Sheriff's Dispatch Center in Martinez on the 31st, to go through their system again. We constantly do training with them. I think the last one that I know of out here that we used the CWS was actually the call in San Pablo 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we haven't needed to activate it yet. That's why I knocked on wood behind us.
So I was gonna say the green one on the right, it's pretty easy, if you take a picture of it, I put in my address, put in his address, you can figure out exactly what our zone number is.
But it's like a number, right, do I have
Yeah.
to memorize it, do I have to write it down, so, you know, it's yeah.
It's one of those things that I took a screenshot and saved it as a favorite.
Yeah.
It's not something that I think of all the time, but if something were to happen.
Or
it's
you
one
can
of
put
those
it
things
even
I
in
go
your
back to.
contacts under your address, put it in the zone, that way if you're panicking, you can look it up.
Okay, so CAL FIRE hazard severity maps and zones was mentioned earlier. Those maps were updated February 24th of this year and released. The QR code on the right has the severity maps and zones. They are also available on our district website. You can see, it's a little hard to read right now, maybe that's just my vision. But the bottom last line on there It's our internet address at cccfpd.org/LRA, Robert Adam -maps. So that website takes you to all the information about the CAL FIRE hazard severity, talks about what CAL FIRE is doing, it talks about firewise communities, it talks about home hardening, it talks about preventable or
Firewise program.
yep. Defensible space, that was the word I was looking for. And so it offers a lot of resources. There's also a comment card on there, that you can do a digital comment
So
about.
I see they don't break it down to East Richmond Heights, do we just go under Richmond?
That would be under the unincorporated
I mean,
map.
I don't see that on the list.
I think it was at the bottom.
When you pull up that map. and
Oh, I
zoom-
see, very bottom,
Yeah.
okay.
And zoom in, which is what I did, I saw
Mhm.
that it comes right down Kensington Avenue.
Yes.
I'm a block on the other side of it,
Mhm.
but I see all the dead end street from Del Monte all the way down to Alvarado Park. Are in this new red zone and.
It's been expanded substantially. I talked to my insurance guy the other day about it.
So what is, what does it mean for insurance to you?
That's the big question.
That's the big
I think
question.
our insurance almost doubled. I think it's gonna go up again because of these new maps.
Well, you're lucky if you can get it.
Yeah, you're dropped.
So I actually, my house, I live in the central part of the county, I was dropped 2 years ago. I was able to find another provider. It is a concern. These maps were produced by CAL FIRE based on fuel modeling and data and things of that nature. Initially, we were assured that would not have impact on insurance, but as all of us know, that if
So that dark red is not a good color.
dark red is not a good, any red is not a good color. I mean, I love red, but for fire engines, but the dark red just means it's local responsibility. So it means it's the responsibility of Contra Costa County Fire. The slashed red means it's the responsibility of the state of California. So it'd be CAL FIRE's responsibility. But because of the agreements we have, the only CAL FIRE station is Sunshine Station, which is all the way out in East County. So we would be the initial responders to that, even the state areas, if you're including East Bay Regional Parks, we work with them. Even the state areas are gonna get local resources until the state can come in and assist with it.
Quick question on the
Yes.
maps. Does PG&E use these same maps or do they have their own maps?
PG&E has their own maps. They actually have a whole fire control center in San Ramon where they monitor weather conditions, fuel, what's going on. They monitor the grid system of what's happening, and they try to assist with making decisions for the infrastructure that help us and try to mitigate any kind of hazard that they would provide.
The thing we're very concerned around here is if the power goes out, will they be able to pump the water out of the tanks? We have the Del Monte and the Lucid and Tassajara.
No, that's where the pump is.
Oh, that's where
The pump is on Carquinez.
Carquinez, my
But that
husband's right.
pumps the water into our tank, which is on above Del Monte.
So what we want is a transfer pump that turns on out automatically when the power goes out so that we can get our water supply.
Yeah.
And do you do that or does
No, that's East Bay Mud.
East Bay
Or,
Mud?
yeah, that's water, depending on where you're situated. That is constantly one of the issues when you're dealing with wildfire, is the fact that if the power wasn't out, if they're gonna turn it off when something like that happens, which affects that. Your tanks do have head pressure in them, the whole point of that pump is to pump water up. And then once the water's up there, it actually creates pressure based on elevation to power the hydrant system. But once that water's gone and nothing's going back in, we don't have any hydrant pressure. As well as you saw it in Malibu, Palisades, Eden Fire, all of them. As soon as you have a number of houses that are also burned, they have a bunch of piping with water flowing out of it. The water systems are designed to provide for water supply for your house on a normal basis, be able to flush your toilet, run your dishwasher, all those things, and for one, maybe two structure fires. And then when you have multiple structure fires going, there's just not enough water supply, and it is a problem with the system. this system to be able to do what happened in Palisades and fight that fire does not exist, and we cannot afford it if it did. So,
Did it help with people at swimming pools?
so that we can draft out of swimming pools, which is suck the water out, put it in our fire engines in the kitchen, or aircraft can actually come and hover over and pull the water out and use it for firefighting. So it does provide water sources for us to use in those types of incidents, as well as ponds on golf courses, any kind of water, the reservoir right over here, things like that.
So who, we would talk to East Bay Mud about, I mean, who would we talk to find out if the various reservoirs will have pumps to?
We're talking about
The reservoir
generator.
levels or
backup.
generator,
Yeah, we have pumps, we want a generator that's gonna work.
So
That is-
if I'm understanding you correctly, even
Yes.
if we had a generator and we had a massive wildfire, it wouldn't do us any good anyway.
I'm not saying it would do you any good, you're better off having that.
Of
We're
course.
better off having.
I think we've mentioned it in every meeting for 5 years.
Yes.
Seriously.
No, you're better off having it. However, when it gets, it all depends on scope and scale. If you have a smaller incident, a few, a couple houses and stuff like that, that's gonna be the godsend. It's gonna help us put out those fires. If you have hundreds of houses going or thousands of houses going, you can have that pump run.
Run for your sailboat.
It's not, it's not gonna, there's not gonna be enough water in the system to run with that pump.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do they have a backup generator for all the cell phone towers? Because every time PG cut off the power, I realize that maybe my cell phone will work to receive alert or anything like that.
It's not, I think what I've learned is not really a cell phone tower,
Yeah.
because everybody's Wi-Fi cuts out. So the demand on the cell phone towers is overwhelming, and they ran out of bandwidth.
Yeah, cell phone towers generally do have some battery backup, but it doesn't last very long. So when we were in Palisades in the middle of area that you would think should have great cell phone coverage, because I can see downtown LA and I can see the ocean and all that stuff, we had no cell coverage, because they had no servicing of the cell towers. They either burned up or the batteries were down and there was no power to reboot them. We were actually running off satellites.
Okay, yeah, so if normal, last time PG shut off the power, I put out the cell.
It is a problem.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Kind of going back to this generator and saying mud and Cal Fire. I mean, I'm just wondering what the relationship is between, the Pentecostal fire and East Bay Mud, if this is clearly an issue. And it doesn't seem like it should be really up to just us trying to pound the pavement or, pound on doors. So, it just sounds like a pretty frustrating situation that has a somewhat simple solution. Obviously we can't have them generators that we buy, but.
Let me just say that Victoria and I attended that meeting that Supervisor Joya chairs at El Cerrito City Hall. And East Bay Mud was there, some top people from East Bay Mud. And they said, because we've talked about our own area here, all of us get our water from that tank. That in the fire season, they are going to keep that tank full at all times. It's costing them money, but they're gonna keep pumping so that tank stays full. And they said that if they need to get a generator up here, because the PG&E is going to cut it or it's going to be out, they will do it very quickly, get it hooked up there. They don't plan to have a generator staying there.
Right.
Now, this just was a couple of weeks ago, we were at that meeting. That
They
Supervisor
moved
Joya
the
chaired.
generators around, they're using several generators, the Oakland Hills and Berkeley, but they said if we needed it, they would move it to our site. But they don't plan on just leaving one there all the time.
I don't think that's adequate at all.
I would rather have one there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a crisis, how are they gonna really get it there?
Yeah,
They're not.
that's exactly.
well, and I mentioned to them, we would love to have them here in person so they can answer those questions, but that was the answer I got. And they were, I got their cards too, they were very receptive to what our concern is, and they said, it's gonna cost us a lot of money, but we're going to keep your tank full all the way through any fire season. So.
They are kind of starting here in the south.
As the chief has just mentioned, if we happen to have a fire hit us and several houses are going down as they do, you know, they may break pipes and then water's flowing out and then, you know, we're out of luck anyway.
So the water agencies have a huge, what happened in Southern California brought to light a lot of issues. So the water agencies are working to mitigate all those problems, but it's not just your community, it's Berkeley itself. So they're trying to prioritize, and it never feels good when you don't feel like you're the priority because somebody else is. But it is on their radar. They're having those meetings. The supervisor Joy is doing a phenomenal job in trying to coordinate those types of opportunities and those conversations and actually help to try to facilitate those types of things. They do actually pull those trailers through. EV has some small fire engines. They will do stuff to try to get those trailers up there, those generators up there during those incidences and try to keep the water system running for us or boost the pressure in types of incidents that we need it. So they are a great partner, but the curtain was pulled back in Southern California on a lot of things, and they're trying to, but they have 2 people plugging holes and there's holes all over the ship. So,
Right.
yeah.
You know the zones that we have, is that gonna give us our evacuation route?
The system can give you the evacuation routes, or then depending on the scope and scale of what's going on, they may say just exit the area and these are the places you can go for emergency housing.
There, how many helicopters there do you guys have? Because we have a lot of salt water here, like a lot of them can be used during the fire season. I'm just curious, there's a way can utilize the bay.
So we are contracting with one, like I mentioned, Marin County Fire and PG&E have an agreement, had an agreement the last couple of years. I believe they're renewing it for a Blackhawk, which has 1,000 gallons of water. Ours has belly tank with 350 gallons of water. You have Alma Health Track in the Santa Cruz Mountains that's coming with another 1,000 gallons of water. Their flight time here is about 30 minutes, give or take, maybe a little bit less. You have Vina coming from the north, as well as they've contracted the last couple of years to have a helicopter coming out of Napa Airport. So we do have some resources. We don't have as many as Southern California. They are expensive resources. And we're trying to work through, like, Southern California has an agreement with Southern California Edison to provide aircraft. And that's what we're also doing with PG&E, is trying to provide aircraft in cooperation with the utilities, because they have them for setting poles up in the mountains and stuff like that. So during fire season, they bring them down and let fire agencies use them because it benefits them and the citizens they serve too. So
Yeah.
it depends. Sometimes, yes, sometimes no.
And Joanna?
I'm curious, Chief, after spending 2 weeks in the Pacific Palisades fire zone, I'm curious if you came home and did anything differently in your personal life. I'm sure you've gotten a long list of professional things you're supposed to, lessons learned, but just.
I did. I added some leaf guards to my gutters because I didn't want to pull them down. I'm looking at stuccoing my house instead of the wood siding it currently has on it. There's a number of things. One of the things I realized is I have a trailer in my driveway because I like to go camping, and that's within 5 feet of my house. And right now, it's one of those things I'm like, well, in case of an earthquake, which is generally more precipitous and happens more often here than the wildfire where I live, I'm going to leave it there because I'm making the calculated judgment that I feel like it should be there, because it offers me the ability to have food and all that other stuff in case of emergency. So I have made some changes. My wife and I have talked about some others that we're gonna do. We're gonna probably take all the grass and bushes out in the front of our house and go to a different landscape. When my son gets back from college and I have some help with labor, instead of me doing it all by myself. We've had trees trimmed back. I talked to my neighbors and I told them I'm gonna hack one of their trees back that's over the property line that's gonna be on top of my house. So yes, I made some personal changes too. And
what about decks up against the house? That should be gotten rid of too, because that's fuel, right? The wood.
Yes.
And I got rid of all my decks recently and I just had the hardscaping around the
Yeah.
house.
According to the home hardening type concepts. Yes, any type of wood up against your house is a bad thing, so I also have wood fencing, it's at a point where we're in the next 3 years, we need to replace it, so. We might go to metal fencing, or we might go to plastic fencing, which would also come up against the house, but it melts generally instead of catching on fire and catching the house on fire, but. And providing screens, so we've been doing screens on all our ones, yes.
Okay.
So did you observe that houses that had done hardening and had done proper landscaping and had made all of the things that CAL FIRE and other agencies suggest, that they survived this thing in
They have
LA?
a higher incidence of surviving. So the houses that didn't have that. Burn, and some of those ones that had all that stuff done, burn too. Because sometimes the heat gets so intense that your windows will fail, the drapes inside will actually catch on fire and it doesn't really matter what's under your house.
So you're gonna put, like I have a 1948 redwood, tell me what redwood has. So you're gonna put stucco over your redwood?
No, I don't have redwood, I just have wood siding.
Oh, so you're gonna get rid of the wood siding and do stucco?
My wife and I are arguing about that.
What about cementitious boardings?
The cement fiberboard,
Yeah.
it's any kind of product that won't burn when embers hit it is better
I
than.
have a question about
I just
I mean, I have solar on my roof, so I have a composition shingle roof with solar panels. So is that bad for fire to have solar panels? Okay.
Can the embers get stuck under behind the panels?
They
or
can get stuck
something?
between the panels and the roofing material, yes, or
The
the shingle.
cinders.
Yeah.
I see.
That's not as prominent a way of fire starting as actually embers going through your vents. So like your e-vents that have the wide screen on them, so we get airflow, which is what they used to talk about. Those embers go straight into your attic, and then once you have an attic fire going, it's highly likely the rest of the house is gonna go when we have. So, providing the new screening that's available on those types of vents is super important.
There's new screening available?
Yeah, there's new screens you can
There's
get.
Vulcan vents.
Yes.
You know about the.
Okay.
If you have class A roofing and class A decking, which is, as I understand, an hour of. It will burn for an hour and then it'll burn.
And anything will burn given the right conditions.
Yeah.
What's considered class A, like composition shingle?
I don't, so
It supposedly means that if there's a fire, it won't burn for an hour. That's my understanding of the definition of class A.
I have to correct that. So I'm used to like class A combustibles, which are combustibles like paper and wood and stuff like that. So those generally.
But if you harden your house and you put on cement siding and done all that stuff. And the winds are blowing 70 miles an hour, does the fire tend to stick around longer than an hour or does it keep moving?
Well, it kind of depends. It depends on what else is burning. So fire moving through neighborhoods, it's generally gonna start in the fuels and then get to the houses and then go house to house.
Right.
And so it depends on where the fire front goes. If they're moving fast, the embers are gonna be flying. I actually watched some video from the Eaton fire where a palm tree put off, I think it was 1,500 embers in a 10-second period. Which was ridiculous, just watching them fly at 100 miles an hour.
It's like a blowtorch fire.
Yeah.
You know, one of my neighbors just cut their palm tree down. I wonder if they did that because of that.
So the fire front's gonna move at one speed. It's gonna have an impact. Then what it did to houses is gonna have another impact. And then the ember casts and where they hide is gonna have a third impact. So you may have a fire front move through and you lose a couple houses. And then you have a couple where embers got into places that nobody knows, or a stack of wood next to a house that then catches on fire, which runs up the side and gets in the attic and burns it down. Or you may have a fire front that moves through, then catches a bunch of houses with it, and then those continue to mitigate and make a bigger problem. So there's no great answer. And there's, like I said, there was completely concrete houses with multi-Lexan windows and they burned down, and then there was other wood structures in the middle of nowhere that had wood siding and wood shake roofs and they lasted. So there is no like 100% if you do this, you're good,
It's just
and
chaos.
100% if you do that, you're gonna lose your house. It is a little bit of chaos,
If you do have wood piled up, how far should it be from your house?
at least 5 feet. Yes.
What do you think about an idea of neighborhood fire drills where you just have a practice thing where you go and, you know, just, I mean, do your to go and then meet somewhere and all of that and drive safely or not?
We have done evacuation drills before. It is something that you could to do. It generally have a large impact on infrastructure, driving, some stuff. It's coordinating effort with the sheriff's department, see what's in the area, and it takes a lot of planning because you don't want people to think they're being evacuated from their area when it's so there, we just did done a couple of
We're gonna have to turn this off, they're not gonna be able to hear it. Thanks, Laura. Okay.
So if that is something that you want, that would be something that you should work through that your fire council, the Firewise community, as well as the organization, will Supervisor Joya.
That's what I wanna know about the zones, because what I wanna do is break it all up into zones and then have each person have a captain of their zone, so they can practice. Each zone can practice.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there any talk of further restricting building codes or making them tighter based on the Southern Cal? I know they've done it, there's been a lot of tighter codes over the years, but it seems like there needs to be more change to the UBC.
The codes were actually scheduled to be changed, so that's actually what's brought about some of this, the new maps as well as the Zone Zero talk to Euro. So all that has been in process prior to those incidents happening. I'm sorry.
So,
All right.
Yeah, about rooms.
my question was, I mean, if you are due to put a new roof on your house, what type do you recommend?
I would go to the resources that we have on the website. And then honestly, the hazard mitigation people we have are way better on the standards and what the best product is currently
Okay.
than I am, unfortunately. If we want to talk about hanging off the side of the building or something like that, I'm probably your person, but they know this stuff way better than I do. So they would have better information for you on that topic.
Okay.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, last time we talked about, there was a potentially a service that was available through maybe Cal Fire, where you could call somebody for a consultation to come over your property and tell you like, hey, you gotta mitigate this and this and this. Is that something that's?
We our prevention personnel can come and do that, help you out, and evaluate you.
How do we use, how does one set that up?
So if you go to our website, cccfpd.org. And find the prevention, or you go to the one that had the LRA maps documentation that talks about all that stuff, there'll be links to our public ed division and our community risk reduction personnel that help with those.
Yeah, they said they'll come to your house and do a walkthrough.
Yeah. Yes.
Are there recommendations on tree selections? I just saw someone recommending that we have magnolias in our neighborhood, and I looked up magnolias. And it's not it's a very it's not fire resistant at all, it's not a good choice. But then I start looking at other trees, so are there lists of recommended?
Yes, again, if you go to the LRA maps one, it has a bunch of information about the defensible space. And if it's not there, the links to our personnel that deal with that, they have all that information on the best type of fire.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Anyone on Zoom?
Okay.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You keep talking about the reservoir above your house, is that that's not the same one that's over from Benita Street?
No,
So there's
that's
actually
Casper
two-
Heights. For all of East Richmond Heights, our water comes from a water tank that's actually on the golf course up here in El
Oh, and
Cerrito.
that fills those
Yeah.
other smaller tanks.
Where Del Monte meets Kensington, if you kept straight, there's a little road and our big water tank is up there. The tank you're talking about, all the way on the other side there, that is what provides, I think, all of Casper Heights, is that right, Barb?
Yep, there's,
at the top.
there's like three.
Yeah, you've got, I think, more water than we do, actually, over on that side, while we're apart. Yes, sir.
There was a question earlier about the risk associated with the Wildcat Canyon.
Yes.
Wondering if you have thoughts to share on, I mean, you walk around there and look like there's a lot of fuel. Is this a very big risk area because of the park?
I know that East Bay Regional Parks is working on and just got a grant for a number of fuel mitigation projects. I have not seen the area, so I don't really want to comment on it. I would say based on the severity maps the CAL FIRE put in, because of where Wildcat Canyon sits, it falls in that.
Yeah.
So I would say that no matter what, if there was 2 inches of grass or 10 feet of grass, it's a high severity area.
Oh, there's eucalyptus, oaks, bay laurel,
So
poison
the
oak,
reason, and
coyote brush.
right, and the reason that some of those calculations were done and some of the colors changed and moved is because of the types of fuels that are there. So those fuels dictate the severity for those areas.
Yeah, we actually thought we were getting a fuel break that ran from the golf course all the way down where all the dead end streets are, and that we have plans of what it was. And the county, Michelle was doing this for us. We didn't get the grant, and so she's still working on that. We wanted to get this fuel break where they were just going to cut it all the way down to Alvarado Park. And then we didn't get that after we thought we were. So there is a plan. And our county fires is there to try and get that grant money so we can get.
Every year we put in for shaded fuel breaks across the county, trying to figure out, again, unfortunately.
But she said something interesting.
She said that it had to do with.
She said because our area didn't seem to show enough desire for it.
Oh,
Okay. So some areas did, Rinda got a lot,
Yeah,
but our area wasn't squeaky wheel enough and we didn't get it, so we now trying to get, we're trying to get
Figure out how to.
One at a time, please, one at a time.
trying to get squeakier now.
I understand the passion, and as you should, you're fighting for your lives after what you saw in Southern California. I will say that Moraga already started a shaded fuel break, so they may have gotten some resources to finish what was already starting. But I'm not part of that. Shaded fuel breaks are needed everywhere in Northern California and Southern California. Hazard mitigation, we've seen the governor pull back some of the restrictions we've had on burning. It is a huge topic in the area. We're doing what we can. We want to do more to prevent those things because nobody should have to go through what happened down there. Yes.
She also did imply that we need to be proactive, like getting involved in these firewise programs to show that we have an incentive in order to get the money.
Yeah.
I just have, since I'm new here, sorry, what the dollar figure is for that fire project?
How much was that?
it's a lot.
Didn't get.
A lot, I don't,
I think it's.
It was in the millions.
It was a million.
Yeah, millions of dollars that we didn't get.
So Victoria, I mean, I guess it goes to, everyone, like, what's the matter in which we can demonstrate that there is interest? Are there petitions? Are there just the firewise?
Going online and having the county people come out and guide us on how to do this firewise.
this was the plan and we lost it. After we thought.
Is it sending letters, so do we wanna create templates or a form that people can just check off there, like something that we can actually empower people easily?
I had 2 meetings get canceled that Michelle had helped me plan with the lady from the county who was going to come out and guide us through the process.
But you're waiting for John's meeting.
Yeah, so John wanted to wait till he got that huge meeting done before Michelle, the lady in the county, came out to meet with us individually in East Richmond Heights.
So can we maybe do like a conditional thing, like if the meeting is not done in this amount of time, we wanna actually have an introductory or some kind of smaller meeting, so we can actually get some of the interest demonstrable for us to then look better for the grants.
And Mark, Ronnie, remember, he needed a certain time period, like we plan a meeting, we have to give, what's Brown's Act or something, we have.
That's if we have, it needs to be agendized, which Supervisor Joyce is not recommending, which is why we're having the working groups. Yeah, cause I have to go through the whole process of being agendized and all that fun stuff, so.
I would like to get it on the books for May,
So, regards to the working group, or?
to have the representative from the county come out and start guiding us through the process of the Firewise program.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, can we do something
That would, well, I can follow up with Michelle and see if you can have somebody out.
In May.
Yeah, right.
Can we get more priority too from John Joy's office, just like to send funding this way, cause it seems like it's like a common trend, right? Like a lot of funds tend to go to Kensington, Berkeley on the Contra Costa side of the county. Like the wealthier areas tend to get the money.
Yeah.
Well, I know
we
we
get
get
to,
this is East Richmond Heights, also El Sobrante are definitely on the priority list. It's there's a myriad of factors, but I just wanted to reassure you that it's not, you know, it's not, oh, well, just leaving you off to the side.
So there was one thing that I forgot to mention, April 1st at the council chambers in Martinez, the board chambers, sorry. There is a meeting from 6 to 7, which will probably go longer, about the LRA maps. So that in the meantime, that might be a good forum for you to.
But what's the location there?
It's gonna be at the board chambers in Martinez.
Okay.
Our fire marshal, Chris Bachman, will be there. He's been working with CAL FIRE on all these projects. He is the one that runs our shooting program. So he would have more information and be a good advocate and be able to assist you in the process that you want to move forward with.
What's the date again? I just guessed.
April 1st.
Liz, also.
Oh, Liz? Okay, yeah, Liz has her hand up.
Oh, yeah, just like you've kind of said it, we seem to have gone into a big circle where we didn't get the funding for the fire break because we didn't show enough excitement or interest. And now it's like there are people who really want to have that meeting, and John Joya seems to be delaying it for some other meeting, and we don't know when that other meeting is happening. So yeah, like, can we just have that meeting, because there's so much interest in this, and also we're meant to be showing our excitement.
So I want to reiterate, it's not anything that we're intentionally doing. We definitely understand the need to have these meetings. We're just trying to get everybody's schedules together. So as soon as we can get that, again, we'll be.
Well, we could have a pre-meeting.
That's not suggesting, there's no, I saw there's sort of a community meeting, right, kind of square out what kind of enthusiasm we need to show at the public meeting to make sure that we're being squeaky.
So Ronnie, are we allowed to have a
You
pre-meeting?
can, the community can definitely meet whenever, as far as having anything that's officially county sponsored. That would have to go through that whole process, but
Yeah,
again,
that's
the
what
working group
we were waiting
have
for
a-
Michelle's lady to come from the
There
county.
can be what, two?
Yeah, I'm asking of two night, yeah.
Only two of this group can be there without violating.
Anything else would violate the Brown Act, unfortunately.
You know, I also understood that Michelle was gonna let us know when there were grants available. I think she said currently there are no grants available to even apply for.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes really critical when we're applying for those grants that we show the support. Maybe with letters and stuff, but I guess it's also critical to demonstrate that we've been acting on this in some way. So,
but besides like community interest, like, do people not look at like the risk level? Like, you know, so like there could be no interest here, but the risk level could be really bad. Like if we burn, this whole hillside's burning,
Well,
and so. You know, so I don't know, it seems kind of silly.
That's the one thing I wanted to say is all those dead end streets in our neighborhood end in very large parcels. I live on one, 6 acres.
Yeah.
And then there's another 6 acre one, and then there's another 7 acre one, and it goes like that. And so I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars thinning, getting rid of trees, cutting things down, opening up swales. And I was, and I feel responsible because I feel like if my house burns down, then the whole neighborhood's gonna burn down, because I'm the first house, next to the canyon. And so I think we have a very peculiar neighborhood because of these giant parcels at the end of these dead end streets.
And we need to get everybody involved.
Right.
Because if one person is not involved and they have the big trees, eucalyptus, whatever, it's gonna affect the rest of us.
Yeah, and and so, yeah, and they're big parcels that, I mean, there's one big parcel that's for sale that, so getting that owner involved. And that's like at least 3 blocks and.
Right.
Okay, yes.
So, I wanted to offer, I was gonna bring this up later in the meeting, but for Earth Day, we're having an event at Mira Vista Field, and the community around Mira Vista Field are very concerned about fire. We actually work with the school district on management of the flammable weeds and things there. We do a lot of work there associated with that because houses back up to it. But anyway, you're having an event, and I would like to invite whoever would like to, we're having a few speakers. And it would be a great point to, like, if we have a date coming up for a meeting, to announce that, maybe to generate a little more interest. There is already interest there, but
The Earth Day is April 22nd.
we're doing it on the 19th.
Okay.
Saturday from 11 till 2.
Is that like this?
Yes. I only had a few of these little flyers, I put it there, but we're gonna have a little gathering, we're gonna have a potluck, and then while people are eating, have people talk about a variety of things. And fire prevention was one of the topics that we wanted to.
You know what, I'm gonna be out of the country the whole month of April, so that's why I'm hoping we get a meeting in May. But I recommend if you go on that site, print out something about the Firewise program.
Mhm.
And at the Earth Day, give out flyers so people
Yeah.
can start the process at their home.
Yeah, and then like I said, if we have something set up or coming, then I can promote that also.
So I'll see if when Ronnie can get a meeting for us going in May.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
because I think we're all talking at the bit.
Well, the hills are still green.
Yeah.
we are gonna have to move on. Is there anything else? All right, chief, please come back.
Yes, thank you.
It sounds like to reach the most number of people, that it probably is gonna be some kind of postcard campaign. That we might we could actually combine it with like doing something about the festival.
Put
Right,
it on next door too.
right,
Yeah,
but I think that like to get to every person, it's gonna have to be a postcard, so we can think about what else do we want, and do we want there to be a Facebook
No, that is a very
page?
good idea to get every single household, because only so many people come to the music and art festival,
Right,
right?
and so like, what are the things we would want on that postcard? And I would imagine through Joya's office to create some sort of form for them to like sign up, to like get noticed, like, here's a template of a letter that you can send, here are the phone numbers that you can call. Like, make it super easy, and then at the festival itself, we'll also hopefully have things for people to do right there. Like, we talked about having an iPad where people can actually do it right on the spot. So I think there's some organization here.
I can definitely, through the title company, I can get all the labels for all the properties. I get the labels,
Right,
address labels.
right.
We just need to get.
And we're allowed to, like, our funding as a map, we're allowed to print and send things out.
Right.
So we have to figure out how many households.
I can order that.
Yeah. So should we set something up to talk about what we can put on the postcard, because we can have. We can have a conversation, we don't have to do it here,
But yeah, let's find out more about when Ronnie can get us a meeting in
yeah,
May.
maybe we can add
And
that.
we could get postcards to, let everybody know when
Yeah.
these gonna be.
Yeah.
And I'll order the labels.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on, Brian, I'm glad you guys didn't go on a call. You're still here, thank you, for being here, and, the sergeant.
Is your go back ready?
Like the sheriff's department.
It's kind of hard to follow up fire. Fancy words and apparatuses. Keep it short and sweet, because I don't have too much, so no news is good news, right? When it comes to what I have to say. Just a couple incidents last month to highlight, we had a petty theft, and that was just a rear license plate off your car was taken. That's what a lot of car thieves do. They'll steal a car, then they find a similar car, same kind of make and model, they take a license plate of that, put it on the stolen one, put the stolen license plate on your car. And then next thing you know, you might be getting pulled out at gunpoint, so always, every time you walk up to your car, just look at your license plates, make sure they're interesting, and that they're yours. Yeah, so somebody got that taken, there was a vandalism, and it wasn't a random one, there was a kind of a fight going on, and they bumped into somebody else's car and broke the window, so. That was taken care of. There was a fraud, and it was a elderly lady, it was a phone scam. They convinced her to stay on the line, that's key number one, right? Anytime somebody calls you on the phone and they're saying they're so-and-so with a bank, your bank account's been hacked, you need to keep me on the line, and we need to go down to the bank. So basically convinced her to take out thousands of dollars from her account, go to another bank and deposit it into another account. So please don't, please don't fall for it. Then on Ralston Avenue, that one house that you know. They responded to what we call promiscuous shootings. So anytime somebody calls in saying, hey, I think I hear gunshots. Then we call that a prom shot, a promiscuous shooting. So deputies arrive. The house is boarded up, the main house was secure that night, but there's a detached garage with an apartment above it. And there was a bunch of unwelcome people hanging out. So they cleared that area, they didn't find any weapons. They found a felon, an ex-felon, in possession of a bunch of ammunition. So they arrested him on that charge and kind of cleaned that for the night, but there was nothing, no response, nobody got hurt, nobody got injured, or the local hospitals, and nobody was found. That's.
Are we getting catalytic converters stolen anymore? Then we used to have quite a few.
No, you know what, that's kind of gone down because what the state finally did is a lot of the recyclers. You now have to, if you're gonna bring in a catalytic converter or the components of it, just like with the copper theft. You now have to provide a legal identification card, they keep track of it, and then they can audit and say, hey, this guy's been here multiple times with multiple catalytic converters, we might wanna look at them. Plus the 2 recycling plants, recycling centers that are in our area. Our investigations unit hit them, got, I think, 1,300 catalytic converters that were in the electronics box, and they went to jail, so.
Any questions from members? Council members? Lieutenant Holland, any questions from anyone on Zoom or here? Okay, thank you, sir. Yes.
This is a while ago now, because it's the first Trump administration, there's a lot of controversy about collaboration between the country council sheriff's department and ICE. Are there any kind of overlap now?
No, there's none. The state law that was passed several years ago prohibits us from working with any federal agency.
So there's that transfer station, or the polling station down by that's being used by.
Yeah, we were just housing, and it was just federal prisoners, so. The status of their immigration may or may not have been in play, but it was just federal prisoners that the sheriff had contracted to house at one of our jails. And that went, was that 2018 that stopped?
Okay.
Around there, And then since then, California's passed laws that don't allow any law enforcement in the state to work with any federal agency. So.
Any other questions? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, thank you guys for.
Thanks, Dave.
Ronnie, do we have CHP?
We did, but they jumped off.
Okay, what about Richmond Police that were on there? Is he still there or not?
No.
Okay.
More laws, Georgia.
You
Okay.
can tell what our priorities fire.
Right. All right, we're then going to move on to the subcommittee report, our land use committee.
We didn't have anything this past, since our last meeting.
Okay. All right, regional historical presentation, don't have anything yet. Fran, any thought on that or?
Actual one,
Okay,
yeah, you can just share it in advance with somebody.
okay.
You know what?
You want it next month or me?
We would appreciate anything that, you know, you do such a thorough job, it's just terrific, and
April.
Joanne too, what?
April.
Is it possible, are they recorded, the past ones?
Yeah, I think we've got all of the ones, at least going back, since you've been here, have been on Zoom, so yeah. They should be available on Supervisor Joya's YouTube page.
You have to scroll to the end of the meeting.
Yeah,
That's usually it.
okay, any,
On the history.
Yeah.
So someone told me that there used to be a train that would go where that road is really wide down the hill.
Oh, Key Ride?
The key
Up to
system.
Alvarado Park.
So it'd be cool to learn
oh,
kind of the history. I'm not saying we should do that next time.
Part of that Alvarado Park presentation is- should.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
and I know you, I think you're, Fran, you're the one that came up with, one of the old gigantic urns.
Yeah.
One up in North Arlington is actually sitting in Alvarado Park, and I went down and saw it, yeah,
That's one.
yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Is it true, is it true that the old days, that they used to bring plants up by boat? Oh, up Wildcat Creek to the courthouse?
I have never heard that. You know, I think about it, my old timers too, I don't think we.
I don't think we could ever get anything up that creek.
That's true.
We're all looking for that big house.
It'd be a lot of water to have on factories to be able to do
I'll
that.
see if I should.
I was just wondering, the urn he's talking about, was there some kind of pottery kiln place here in Richmond that made
I
those
don't think
urns?
so much, I think there are a lot of like some of the Italian stone masons and people like that, and if you look like around the Arlington and Berkeley, Thousand Oaks has a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I think some of the same designers, even in Aspen Heights, the evidence of some of the design, so there were more of those urns or whatever we call them.
Yeah,
There's quite a couple around, but.
They're like
What I'm
plaster, they're
thinking.
like plaster.
I think they're almost like concrete.
Oh.
Yeah, but they were a nice
Okay.
feature of a different.
Go down and see it.
Well, I'll check them out.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Thanks for the interest.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, agenda item, speaker for upcoming meetings, anyone have any comments on that?
Well, we have, I know like Marilyn, and we've got some other artists in the neighborhood, I think it might be really nice, Marilyn, if you were, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but if you were to show some of your art, and maybe Sam can show some of his art, we can get some people in the neighborhood.
Where?
Your art, here.
Oh, here.
Here, and you know, a PowerPoint talking about your art and.
Oh, do a presentation on.
Yeah, do a presentation on some of the artists that live in the neighborhood, that would be so lovely.
We have a bunch in Haskell
Yeah.
Heights, like a bunch of artists.
You and
everywhere.
Sam and.
Artists are everywhere.
But it would be lovely,
Yeah,
it would be
right.
able to, are you an artist also?
Yes.
So great, like I think it would be.
We're a dime a dozen, we're everywhere.
So, but I think it's just such a great opportunity, I mean, to show one's art to the community and.
Well, there's
people just don't-
visual artists in Richmond and they're doing open studios again this year, it'll be the 4th year and I think the first year there were 5 open studios, and the second year there were like 40 open studios, and it's
That's great.
growing.
Well, when is that going to be?
I think I'll have to get back to you on that. It's
Please
gonna be
do. My last one was as an artist in New York.
Excuse me?
I was an artist in New York City, so I don't do as much art now, but like I think it really is such a vital part of the community, especially
Yeah.
now in the political situation we're in, as a place to express and to just get people out of their heads and into.
Be joyful, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd love to know about that, and I would love to be able to help curate some artist kind of introductions to the.
Okay, yes, ma'am, she has a hand there, yeah.
So I'm part of the mural team at the Arlington Market and it's doing April 27th, we're gonna have a yay, we're almost done. Unofficial party, April 27th, that Sunday, in the parking lot there of Arlington Market, so.
I was just wondering, maybe I should know about that.
Oh,
Mural, because my son stopped by and talked to one of the artists for 15 minutes and we looked at it, it's just amazing, the art, so thank you so much.
No, thank you, it's been a wonderful project.
Cool.
What time of day are you gathering? I think in the afternoon, yeah, Sunday afternoon, I'm sorry, I don't have more details. That's all right. Yeah, April 27th, sort of Earth Day, since it's around Earth, yeah.
Are you gonna have a booth at the art music festival?
Pardon?
Are you gonna have a booth at the art music festival? August
Yeah, I'm
2nd?
gonna ask our team actually, yeah, because we did last year,
Good.
so.
Our date is August 2nd.
Oh,
For the East Richmond Heights Festival.
Yeah, she knows, August 2nd.
She knows the
Oh,
date.
okay,
yeah.
that's set.
Seems like that information, I don't know how big you want it to be, but that would be great to get onto Supervisor Joya's. Like on Facebook and.
Oh,
get that
yeah,
information.
yeah, I'll talk with our team, we just sort of in the, I mean, I know it's only a couple weeks away, but. You know, flesh out the details, so it'd be very informal and, you know. We're gonna have a little bit of music and then.
Okay, and you have,
This is just perhaps something a little more lighthearted than all discussion topics today, but most of the discussion topics today. I was at the monastery the other day and the monks just put up a new sign. And they're trying to start kind of a community movement to plant more magnolia trees so that this neighborhood becomes known as the Magnolia Hill.
this,
That's
this-
I saw that and I looked up magnolias and it's not fire, it's not a fire in tree.
We should change the tree, I have a huge one in my front yard, it's not.
So I think it's a great idea, but wrong tree.
Yeah.
We have to look at, yeah.
We should talk to that.
Magnoliatry also has a negative racial connotation.
Yeah, from the south.
Yeah, from the south.
What does magnolia?
Magnolia, those big white gigantic flowers,
Yeah,
and they shed a lot.
And you'll notice them at the entrance to like, all the boundaries of all white neighborhoods.
It's a great one, that's awesome.
Are used to signify that those are protected.
I started to look up fire resistant trees, and I guess a flowering dogwood, I was trying to find something flowering
Yeah.
to complement what they might do to have something that flowers.
California redbud.
Is that flower also?
Are gorgeous, I think it's pretty safe.
Which one?
Redbuds.
Redbud.
Yeah, they're the ones that just have
Yeah.
tiny little flowers on their twigs. And then before the leaves come out.
Yeah,
okay,
I just took a picture of one the other day.
I'm going to go to that if you guys are ready to move on. Okay, so the next item is public comment on any item under the jurisdiction of the council and not on this agenda. So it says we would like the speakers to try to keep it to about 2 minutes.
Already said.
Actually, I just wanted to put under this comment, for let you know about the Mira Vista Field Earth Day event. It will be on Saturday, April, I'm thinking, wrong month. Saturday, April 19th, and I know that's a really busy day because Easter is the 20th, et cetera. However, what we're gonna, it's just informal, it's gonna be, we're gonna be there 11 till 2. At 11, we'll have an introduction to some native plants at the field, and we'll do a little activity of some weeding of non-native plants. And so that people get their hands on things and get to know the field. And then around noon, we will have a potluck lunch and we will have a variety of speakers. We'll be talking about the history of the field, about dogs at the field, about fire. Hopefully we'll get somebody from the fire district. And a variety of other things. Supervisor Joya will hopefully be able to stop by. And it'll go until 2 o'clock. We will have the music from the local drummers who actually play and practice there every weekend. And so anyway, we want to invite everybody to just come on by, even if you can only stop by for a little bit.
I'm wondering if we should send somebody up to talk with the monks there. They've been so helpful and cooperative with us for our arts and music festival. And they've made this proposal and they probably don't know that it's not a very good fire resistant tree. And maybe they want to have something at your festival.
Well, and in fact, that's interesting because somebody, somebody planted a magnolia tree.
Oh, I saw that.
And the thing is, we have basically some oversight and we don't want to just plant non-native, anybody can plant anything there. And that tree is actually totally inappropriate for the other vegetation there. So it kind of ties.
Is this on the fields?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Are you part of are you organizing this festival?
Yes.
So, is there some way you would be willing to talk with the monks, or I would be willing to go and talk with the monks with you, or maybe we can do some research, and if they want to propose this, have them propose a tree that is fire resistant, or fact, do some research, and it would go so well with what you're doing for Earth Day. So if we wanna, I'll be happy to get together with you, I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
I don't see any problem with that. You would wanna talk to Danya. Danya.
He's so nice.
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful, and he's already accepted that August 2nd is a great day for us to do the festival.
Really
He's
wonderful
already
working with us.
accepted that, yeah.
If you want another person, I'd be happy to work on that with you.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, that would be great. Joanna, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanna remind people the latest issue of Neighborhood Updates has come out. There's an article about the pipes program with the water district member, Harry Wiener, came and spoke to us at the August meeting, and I finally wrote up about his visit. And I actually delivered this all up and down Claremont, because it is Claremont, Hazel, those streets around there are in the pink zone on the water district's map. They get more of a rebate because they have more leaks there. They're trying to get people to replace their sewer laterals, and they'll give you up to a $4,500 rebate on doing that work. Then finally, I want to urge you all to spend some of your money. You get a sign that isn't quite this lame. This was me coming up here a couple nights ago and just quick like writing this, because we didn't have a church event to put on this sign. So if you were to invest some of your money, some of your treasury, because I know you have over $1,000 you can spend, piece of plastic that can be written on. I mean, get it printed, MAC meeting Wednesday, 6:30, and then we can put it up the week before the meeting, the Thursday before your meeting, and it can sit up for a whole week. And I was thinking, if you spent money on having that professionally printed, it would look much better than this. And then you could ask them to print something about the Arts and Music Festival on the other side, so that in the summer we could put up the Arts and Music stuff. So
That can be done fairly inexpensively.
I sent everyone,
I was gonna say, which artist is gonna speak?
I sent everyone here the graphic that I did and Julie did. That would be a great thing. I mean, I also sent you an email that was going back and forth between me, Ronnie, and John.
Okay.
But
I haven't been on my email today.
Yeah, so there's a graphic that we did for the festival last year that can be adapted really easily.
Oh, and that shows your area too.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so it shows both areas and it has a QR code. The QR code goes to the website. And we could decide again, what it would look like, but a banner is pretty easy, and then it would look nice when we're on video to have something here that says.
East Richmond, right, and if you look over there, see on the wood, if you
You
have
know, like,
something.
we could have something that
Yeah.
would be right here, and it would be nice branding.
Yeah.
I think it would look good, and then we can use it for the festival.
The only thing I would change is that one, like the Thrive or something,
It says like community or something.
yeah, like figure out like a.
Well, it could also say Wednesdays,
Third
Tuesday.
Wednesday, third Wednesday.
Third
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I mean, we can decide what we want it to say, if you like that graphic, you can get it made and it won't be rush delivery, so we won't pay an express fee.
There's a woman that lives here in this neighborhood that has a printer that'll print that big.
Really?
I have one, I have a printer, wide format printer, yeah, I got one.
And you can print on really like firm board like that?
No.
We want a
Just
banner.
regular page.
Yeah, we wanna, oh, yeah.
We want to back it, something weather resistant. I'd say weather resistant, okay, so raining, so like.
Yeah, I mean, I can, it's 24 if it's 24 inches wide, it'll fit in there, paper. I use a roll of 24-inch
We
wide.
want it on vinyl though, not on paper.
Right.
So we are in public comment. Is there anyone who has something else that they'd like to bring up? Anyone on Zoom? I see John, you're still with us. Okay.
I had some.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first, we have a neighborhood, East Richmond Heights has a neighborhood net, radio net, where we talk on, communicate on radios. And that's on channel 7. The first Wednesday of every month at 7:30 p.m.
First Wednesday.
Yeah,
Do we have to have a special radio?
huh?
Do we have to have a special radio for this?
Not that special, you do have to have a radio, but it could be,
Like a transistor
it could be either what's called a FRS radio or a GMRS radio. GMRS is a little better,
Okay.
definitely better.
Okay.
What time again? 7
It's 7:30 p.m.
on the first Wednesday?
The first Wednesday of the month. Yeah.
So can I ask you, is it a bunch of neighbors in this area?
Yeah, you don't even have to be in the area, frankly. And if you're not, that's fine too. I host it, I do the net.
Are Sophie and Laura up on Kensington?
Yes, they do, they
Okay,
do.
they mentioned this.
And what kind
definitely
of
do.
topics do you discuss?
Oh. Well, I'm trying to sort of start into a little bit of that, but what we do is we just check in.
I think it's practice, right?
Yeah, it's just practice, you just check in, you know, you get acknowledged, then you just say, oh, this is. You know, Greg on Monterey Avenue, my zone haven evacuation zone is blah, blah, blah.
Right,
And what else?
that's good.
You know, my cross street is, my street is Monterey, this is the cross street, and then if you got the radio license, you get that too.
I have a naive question as somebody, not as familiar with the radio technology as it should be. Do you need electricity, so if our electricity's down, does it-
No, that's one of the beauties of it, no, you don't need electricity. Yeah, it's better operated, you can walk around with it, it has a little antenna on it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And do you have this on all the time?
I haven't heard him.
So if there's like an emergency, does everyone just turn it on, or do you always leave it on, or like? or
Well,
yeah?
that's the idea is that in an emergency, yes, we would turn it on and we would talk to each other and then a few of us also would have a ham radio. There's a couple of people that check in that also have ham radios and they can go way distance. And you know, it's ours in particular, especially, it's not very well organized yet, but there's probably a better model of it in, out of, Marina Bay. And they do it the same day, right after that, alarm goes off on Wednesday.
11 o'clock on
Which is
Wednesday.
11 o'clock, and they're on channel 19.
Is that Breaker 19, Breaker 19? Is that why? Breaker 19 is like a trucker kind of.
It's channel 19, there's a frequency associated with it too, but you don't.
So we could just go online and order a GRMS?
Yeah, you
Okay.
sure can.
Okay,
They're only about $50 and.
that sounds like a good way to communicate.
Yes, sir.
Super quick,
Go ahead.
I thought the fire captain was pointing us to the April 1st county board of supervisors meeting as a potential to go and be a little squeaky. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, I just wrote it down, but it sounded like that would be something that folks wanna go and start making a little noise. So we're gonna go and make a public comment.
Yeah, I would definitely I'm not gonna be here April, I'll be gone in Japan, but I would love somebody to go to that meeting.
Reading between the lines, he seemed to be putting this.
April 1st, 6 to 7,
I'm gonna be shut.
Contra Costa Martinez Board Chamber. Somebody needs to go to that.
I had just one more quick thing if I could, I go to a restaurant on San Pablo Dam Road, it's where their bottle store is there. And I think it is called Punjabi Kitchen anyway, the whole road going up. Up that parking lot. They don't have any lights on, the whole front of the stores is not on. I asked the guy that. Is the owner of that restaurant, he said, oh, the landlord won't turn them on, he says, to save energy.
Wow.
And he keeps complaining about it, but they won't turn.
Not very
them on.
good for his business, huh?
I think that may be actually city of San Pablo jurisdiction.
Yeah.
El Sobrante.
San Pablo has a certain section and where that bottle store is, it's where sold.
Yeah,
That's city of San Pablo.
No, actually, I think it's El Sobrante, because we're on the, passport is on that hill.
I used to work for city of San Pablo.
Because San Pablo starts where that grocery store is, right, that way, because we live on that side of the hill.
Yeah, the line is really weird, but that shopping center, that development with that is the one with the like tasty bites also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's city of San Pablo. I remember reviewing their parking lot plans ages ago.
It is El Sobrante, just looked it up. It's on San Pablo Down Road, but it's El Sobrante, 94803. Punjabi Kitchen.
Yes, but the city limits, whatever.
So we either have to talk to El Sobrante or San Pablo.
Either one, it doesn't apply to this meeting, I guess, no, alright, understood.
I know the Chamber of Commerce president, I think. El Sobrante.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, Greg, thanks for that. Anything else? Okay, unless you guys want to continue, yes, ma'am.
I just have it says our next meeting is April 9th, that's the second Wednesday, why is?
What?
Well, it should be the-
Oh, I didn't
It should
see
be the-
that.
Thank you for picking that up. It should be the third Wednesday.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't know.
So-
It should be the 16th.
The 16th, so that's,
okay.
that is correct, right?
Yeah, it's the third.
And that's the only meeting we're making this year, so everybody needs to show up. And we're gonna vote on the
Okay,
It's in my calendar correctly. Okay, good.
all right, so looking for a motion.
Motion that we
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, let's adjourn.
Aye.
Okay, bye.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.